Hello, dear explorers. Adela here and Oliver. Hi, Oliver.
Oh,
And today we are going to talk about life lessons we learned from 53, the activation 53, and the programming partner 54 will show up a bit in the discussion. Oliver here has 53 in his profile. I'll show his chart in a bit. And I have 54, the programming partner of 53. So I hope we'll present the view about them. So I started the series about the activations. Activations, in my perspective, are gene keys or gates or transits of the hexagrams. So right now we are still in the energy of 53. The video about 53 is already posted on the YouTube channel, and today we are going to talk about what do we actually learn from 53 and how it can play practically in our lives. So I will shortly share the chart. This is mine. First, I'll start with Oliver, who has it. So what I want to share here is that maybe you don't find all the activations in your human design chart or in your gene keys chart. What I recommend is also looking at different planets or different asteroids. For example, Oliver has his 53 in Chiron, the asteroid Chiron, which from my perspective is one of the most important in the chart. So let's try to look at the extended profile. You will find many activations here. You can work with Lilith, Chiron, and so on. So yeah, 53 is an activation that has the energy of Cancer, the sign of Cancer, and it talks a lot about expansion and abundance. So I'll hand it over to Oliver, who has it, and who maybe can share with us what he learned from this activation.
thank you. I don't know if I learned it. I had a chance to think about it. I think the lessons have always kind of been with me, but doing these little videos with you always allows me to think about things that I don't normally think about. Um, I want to focus on the shadow frequency of immaturity of it first, because I think this is probably a one that people can most easily relate to and share some experiences that I've had with it. Richard in his little meditation describes it as immaturity as being the inability to look inward to find the answers in your life and to get inspiration out of external things, as opposed to being able to look into yourself and to find answers. And I think that is so true in so many aspects of my life, and I think a lot of people's lives. We seek to find validation in all sorts of places, and sometimes we don't even know what kind of validation or what kind of answers we seek out of those. I have a uh, call it a vice or whatever. I love watching sports. Like one of my biggest problems is, following the Lakers and all sorts of sporting teams. And a lot of men that may be watching this, I don't know how many relate, but you get this attachment to the sports team, which you're connected to, right? And how that team does affects my mood. I'm a huge Lakers fan, and I happen to be a huge Ferrari F1 fan. And anyone that knows anything about Ferrari is I haven't been very happy for the last 15 years or 12 years. And I always thought that was so ridiculous. It's like, why? What kind of validation am I gaining from this group of people that has nothing to do with me? Um, it's the same with, for example, like if you're cheering for like your nation or something, those people have very little to do with you. Like the England like football team, that has nothing to do with all those people and the fans. They get something out of it, but they're seeking some sort of connection to the success that those people are having without looking inward to try to find success in their own lives. And the problem with that is, and why I think it is immaturity, is because in looking externally, you keep getting scattered. You get scattered for what you think is important and where you think your values are and where your validation lies. My validation lies like, oh, well, the Lakers won the championship, I'm good. And then you wake up the next day and it's like, oh, my life is still the same. It had nothing to do with me. It's almost like it's hollow, like those achievements were not really mine. And they aren't yours because you haven't been focusing on yourself to be able to have your own achievements. And that's really one of the things I still struggle with. I still love watching the Lakers. I still love rooting for all things mechanical that happen to be Italian and are racing. But I know this too. It's like, you know it, and you can't change anything about it. So that's sort of my shadow interpretation of it, and I can talk a little bit more about the gift a little bit later.
Okay, thank you for sharing the perspective. I will share a bit about what I learned from 53, even if I don't have it, but this transit brought some insights to me, I hope, and to other people through me, I guess. What I find a huge life lesson 53 brings is the wisdom of cycles and the wisdom of beginnings, endings, and the fact that every experience has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I find 53 to be very attuned to that. Like, one of the gifts it has is being in tune with rhythms and being in tune with what an experience means and that immersion into experience. So I find it very important for 53 to kind of know what they are entering, what they are beginning, because whenever they are beginning something, it's a cycle that expands and that might create superabundance or might create just chaos and immaturity and, you know, just getting lost in that kind of nonsense. So I find that, at least for me, the main life lesson 53 brings is that fuel of beginnings and that energy to begin stuff, and when wise and mature, to understand that the beginning has a continuity, and to see in a way from the beginning what the end might be in a way. So handing it back to you to the gift, and then we'll talk a bit in the end about 54.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. Starting new things and having it, how do you ensure that it leads to expansion in your life? And I think one of the most important things is, for me, it was always in times when I really listened to my soul and made a decision that that activity or that engagement has led to expansion. It, for example, meeting you, right? It was a very gut feeling, gut reaction. And how that's led to expansion in my life is it's led me to have a much wider view of my world than I ever had before. My view of working and earning money and building wealth and fucking around on the weekends. My life became about so much more than that. It became more about awakening my artistic talents, awakening my potential as a guide, as a leader, focusing on my health, focusing on seeing things, visiting things. You and I just took a nice Amsterdam trip, and exploring and having an adventurous life. So that sort of expansion, when you're with the right person, you're engaged in the proper thing, that is true expansion. And it is expansion that is easy. It is frictionless. The same thing I can put that's not quite as frictionless was my gut reaction when I bought this house. It wasn't the best neighborhood. It wasn't a lot of things. It needed a lot of work, and it still does. But something about the gut reaction told me to get it. And the expansion that it's given me is in learning how to take care of things, how to take care of a yard, how to clean certain things, how to repair certain things, how to save for certain things, how to prioritize things. And you know, it hasn't been easy, but it's definitely been an expansion. It's been an expansion in my breadth of understanding and in my breadth of what I can control and what I can take care of as a man, to build something. And not even to mention the natural thing of the home appreciating, especially in Seattle, like things have been for the last year or so. That had nothing to do with my control, but that was just something I piggybacked on. That was just a wave I rode because I happened to have listened to my gut feeling and made that action then. Because had I not made it then, I probably wouldn't have been able to afford anything now, like most people are finding themselves into. So oftentimes when you listen to your soul, you find that the expansion just comes with it. You don't have to do much else. You don't have to try very hard to get it to grow. And that's sort of the expansion sort of understanding that I have of the 53.
Thank you. I remember when I was listening to the CD and when it was explained like the superabundance, how 53 just immerses in that abundance that already exists. It's like they just push a button and it's like, oh, here I am engaged in an abundant world. Thank you. So to wrap it up, I would like in the end to make this connection between programming partners. I know it's a theme that a lot of people ask about, like, oh, I don't have this key, but I have the programming partner, or I don't have this gate, but maybe I have the polarity. And I find this very interesting because many times even in our case, I find that compatibility is very interesting when you look at the programming partners, the polar opposites that bridge the energy in a very interesting way. So here I'll show a bit my chart and 54 and what 54 does to 53. So my 54 is here in the subconscious Venus, or if you're more into gene keys, it's our gene keys profile looks like this. 54 is in my SQ. So 54 is a key related to ambition and to going higher and to growing and wanting more. I won't go into the details of the frequencies 54 has, but what I find fascinating from the 54 point of view is that 53 brings that abundance and that expansion that 54 is looking for. It's like that feeling, at least for me, that everything is already there when you meet 53. It's like, whatever your ambition is, whatever you wish for, 53 has it. And it's like, oh, that too. And yeah, it's an incredible feeling when this kind of wanting to go higher and wanting to go to have more finds a meaning in a way. It's not just working like crazy till you accumulate stuff, because stuff are already there. And 54, my 54 can just relax and concentrate on a different kind of ascension, not necessarily of having stuff or of building stuff. So that's what it brings for me. Just knowing stuff are already there and understanding that, okay, when you enter an experience, yeah, the experience just has its own way of unfolding. And on the other side, what I feel 54 brings to 53, I think is this sense of not necessarily of direction, but this sense of going higher. I think it makes 53 realize there is something higher, and that all that expansion can go up in a way, can go higher. So when they blend, I think it's a nice way.
Yeah, I definitely felt that that ability to go higher. That certainly has always been one of the biggest effects you've had on me. Um, what would you say to people? You know, you were mentioning if 53, if the abundance is already there, for example, what would you say if someone feels like the person that has the 53 doesn't have the abundance? Like, how should they deal in those situations?
If they don't have it, or if they have
Yeah.
it, if they
Yeah,
don't have
they're in a they're let's say they're in a bad spot in their life, and you know they happen to be not in the best place.
it. Well, what I think 53 has to realize is that abundance is already there, and abundance may come in many forms. So you may already be abundant, but maybe abundance is not what you imagine abundance to be. Maybe abundance is, as in your case, you have a garden where you have blueberries, a lot of blueberries. Or maybe it's, yeah, it's just having time, or just having energy, or just having abundant creativity. I think it's a shift in understanding what abundance means. And sometimes, and I had to deal with that too, sometimes, our vision narrows down and it's like, I don't have enough. But you do have enough. Maybe you have enough friends and you can ask for friends' help, and then you become abundant in a way. So I think it's just making a shift in realizing that, yeah, 53 has this key to abundance,
Yeah,
the abundance of life. So this is why what I would advise, just to make that shift
yeah, that's a
and to
great.
enter processes that feel right. As you said, does it feel right in my body? Does this beginning I'm beginning, does it feel right, or I'm entering something that's
Yeah,
yeah, sorry.
that's a very good point. It's important to branch out your idea of what abundance is. It's not just abundance of having things or being wealthy or anything like that. I think the points you made were excellent. Having abundance of friends, or for example, of creativity, abundance of maybe joy to give. Some people are just very joyous. That is an incredibly powerful thing. Um, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and talking about the polarity, like I want to bring in the end the astrological part. 53 is a Cancer key and 54 is a Capricorn key. 53, the one you have, is Cancer, and it's home and it's nurturing and it's emotion. So it's abundance in that sense. It's like wrapping you in emotion, and the abundance of feelings, the abundance of what the process of an experience means. And on the other side, the opposite, the Capricorn, is all about having clear goals and working toward that goal. So I think they blend well, because the Capricorn gets softer while the Cancer gets more, more ambitious in going higher. So yeah, this was the life lessons of 53 and 54. Thank you for being here, and hope it's useful for everyone. Tell us if you have them. Tell us what your life lessons are from 53 and 54. And if you are a couple having them, please let us know how it feels.
Right.
Bye.